All right, let's talk about something that's part of all our lives, but maybe we don't think about it in the right way. Insurance. It's so easy to just see it as another bill that shows up every month, but what we're going to do in this explainer is flip that idea on its head and look at what it really is, an incredibly powerful financial safety net for all of life's biggest curveballs.
So let me ask you this, straight up. What's your actual backup plan for those what-if moments? Seriously, what if you get into a car wreck tomorrow, or you get really sick? What if something happens to your home? Well, insurance, when you boil it all down, is the answer to that exact question. It's about planning ahead for the chaos so you can actually have some peace of mind today.
Okay, so where do we even begin with all this? Well, we start with the most important thing you could ever protect, you and your family, of course. In this first part, we're going to dive into how insurance acts as this personal safety net. And it all starts with two really fundamental ideas that, honestly, the entire industry is built on. Now, this is a really big one. You've got insurance on one side and assurance on the other. Indemnity insurance is for things you hope never happen. If a fire hits your house, this insurance is meant to indemnify you, which is just a fancy way of saying it puts you back where you were financially before the disaster. But then you've got life assurance, and that's a whole different ballgame. It deals with something that's absolutely certain to happen to all of us. The only unknown is when, and that's why the payout isn't a maybe, it's assured, it's guaranteed. And this naturally leads us to a pretty heavy personal question, right? If the unexpected did happen to you, what about your family? Is their future secure? This is the very reason life insurance exists. So what is life insurance really? Well, at its heart, it's a promise. It's a contract. You pay your premiums, and in exchange for that, the insurance company promises to pay out a specific chunk of cash. Now, that payment gets triggered one of two ways, either on the death of the person insured, or, in some cases, if the policy just runs out after a certain number of years.
So why is this such a big deal? Well, the most obvious reason is protecting your family, for sure. But it's actually so much more than that. It can be a tool to provide for your own old age, giving you financial freedom down the road. And think about it. That regular premium payment, it forces you into a good habit of saving. It almost becomes an investment for those huge life goals, like paying for your kids' college. Oh, and on top of all that, you can often get some pretty nice tax breaks, too.
Okay, so we've talked about the long-term future, but let's be real. Life's biggest challenges aren't always decades away. Sometimes the most immediate threat to your financial stability is your own health. So, yeah, what about the crazy high cost of getting sick?
And this is where health insurance becomes your absolute best friend. It's designed specifically to shield you from the terrifying cost of medical care. You've probably heard of policies called Mediclaim plans, for instance. They focus on covering the big stuff, hospital bills, treatments, and often let you get cashless service at certain hospitals. I mean, think about the relief of not having to worry about a massive bill when you're already dealing with being sick. It's huge.
All right, so we've covered protecting ourselves, protecting our families. Now let's switch gears and talk about shielding your possessions. All the stuff we work so hard for. Let's dig into how insurance protects all those physical things we own. Let's start with a scenario that hopefully none of us ever have to face, but it is devastating when it happens. Just imagine for a second. A fire rips through your home or your business. What do you do then?
Fire insurance is what you do. And hey, remember that word we used earlier, indemnify? It's back. This policy is all about compensating you for the actual financial loss you take from an accidental fire. Its one and only job is to help you rebuild and get back on your feet without going completely broke in the process.
Okay, now for something most of us can't live without. Our car, our motorcycle, whatever gets us around. Motor insurance is really interesting because it's kind of like a three-layered shield. First, it covers your own vehicle if it gets damaged or stolen. Second, it can cover injuries to you, the driver. And third, and this one is absolutely critical, it covers your liability if you accidentally hurt someone else or damage their property. That last one is a big, big deal.
This is about so much more than just fixing a dented bumper. I love this quote from the source material. Think about it. For a taxi driver or someone who drives a bus for a living, their vehicle's everything. It's their entire income. For them, motor insurance isn't just some nice-to-have convenience. No way. It's a lifeline. It's what allows them to get back to work and provide for their family after something goes wrong.
So far, we've mostly talked about protecting against outside threats, accidents, fires, things like that. But let's shift over to the business world for a minute. How do companies protect themselves from risks that come from within the organization? This is where things get pretty specialized. Ever heard of fidelity insurance? It's a very specific policy. And here's the key thing. It's not for the employee. It's a contract between the employer and the insurance company. It protects the business if an employee does something dishonest that causes a financial loss. We're talking about things like fraud or embezzlement. It's a crucial safeguard, especially if you have people handling cash or valuable inventory. Okay, so we've gone from the employer. Now let's zoom out one last time and look at the biggest picture of all, protecting the entire workforce. This is all about creating a shared shield, a social safety net for everybody who works.
And the way this works is actually pretty brilliant in its simplicity. We're talking about things like pension plans here. It all starts with step one. Both the employee and the employer chip in a little bit from every paycheck. Then, all that money gets pooled together and invested so it can grow over many years. And finally, when the employee retires, that big pot of accumulated money gets paid back out to them.
So what's the big idea here? It's about social security, in the truest sense of the words. It's a system designed to make sure that after a whole lifetime of work, an employee and their family can live with dignity without becoming a financial burden on everyone else. It's really a system that's designed for the collective good.
All right, for our last section, we're going to flip the script a little bit. We've seen how insurance can cover your health, your house, your car, even dishonesty at work. So you might be thinking, can't you just insure against everything? Well, the answer is a big, fat no. And knowing the difference is absolutely key to really understanding risk.
This table breaks it down perfectly. See, insurance companies are basically masters of probability. For insurable risks, like a flood, they can look at a huge number of homes and predict, with pretty good accuracy, how many might get damaged in a year. It's accidental, and it's spread across a large group. But look at the other side, non-insurable risks. How do you predict a bad business decision or a failed marketing campaign? It just can't. It's not accidental, and you can't calculate the odds, so you can't insure against it.
And that leaves us with this one last big question to think about. Insurance is a masterful tool for handling those predictable, accidental risks. But what about all the rest of it? In our businesses, in our own lives, how do we manage the risks that no policy on earth is ever going to cover? Well, that's where things like good judgment, solid planning, and just smart decisions come in. It's a great reminder that while insurance is a powerful piece of the puzzle, it's not the whole puzzle. Thanks so much for sticking with me.